I'm Jim McHugh, and I'm on
Awesome, dude. I can do anything.
Yeah, you can do anything. If you can drive in Boston, you can eat, drive, and do your taxes while driving.
And beat my children.
I know you're outnumbered though, and they're getting bigger every day.
They're the twins are taller than me, and it is not a fair fight anymore.
I'm talking to Tom Cotter right now, very funny comedian. And Tom, I laughed. I got the chance to go over your house, which was a huge mistake on your part, but by letting me know where you live. But very, very funny. Your kids, when we came back, we did Red Eye, and they were trying to stay up later, and they were desperate to stay up later. And one of them says, "I have to take a shower," and you go, "Oh, now you have to take a shower. Oh, now that's important."
Yeah.
I was like, how far down the list of things? He was so desperate.
What kid would use that as an excuse? That's sad.
For another 15 minutes of awakeness, he's willing to a kid you probably can't get to shower on any other time of the day or night.
Yeah, and they're 14-year-old boys, so I don't even want to know what's going on in the shower.
No.
That's why they're probably enjoying the shower. There's a lot of lathering going on.
Furious lathering. So, Tom, are you driving to I always assume you're driving to a gig, but you do regular people stuff as well.
I am a regular person, and I do regular people stuff, and I'm driving actually over to Johnny Lampert's house, who is, as you know, is my manager. Okay. And we're going to yap about some stuff, and that's that. I got my daytime free. Like you, Jim, I work an hour a night, so I have 23 hours to play with. Yeah,
but you got to spend 22 of them setting up that 1 hour.
That is quite true. Yeah. My dad doesn't buy that, but that's the reality.
That's the story we're all sticking with.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, we had a blast. You were very good to me. We did Red Eye and put them off the air March 22nd, a day that I think that's when the discussions first started going out around Fox, right after we came off. Do we really need this show? Did you see this guy, Cotter and McHugh? I mean, why are we even doing this? Who?
Yeah, there's just too much Irish comedy on that show between Shalhoub, McHugh, and Cotter.
Yeah, that was. I think we hit the wall. March. You think we could have got away with the St. Patrick's Day thing, but not so much. Yeah,
well, I'm just glad we got it in. I'm glad we got you on there, and I'm glad I got on there before the demise. Because it was a fun show to do. It's very sad to see it go.
I was bummed because there's a show that actually put comedians on. Like. I think I was telling you I was opening for Louis Black years ago, and that he was flipping through the channels on his tour bus, and I said, I'd like to do this show. Why would you want to do a show like this? I was like, what are you not doing, Louis? Who's gonna put me on? I'll do anything. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you gotta love Louis, but Louis is a whore. He would do anything.
He's doing every show on television. Right? He's taking up so much bandwidth. For some little guy like me, it's like, dude, come on. Like, what are you leaving on the table?
As Sam Greenfield used to say, he's a whore for the giggle, and he is.
Oh yeah. But no man's been better to me, though. I mean, all the gigs and the festival. He's been a huge supporter of me. But yeah. Yeah. I was like, dude, didn't you do an ad for Bermuda?
He did. He absolutely did. He's done everything, but God bless him. The thing about Louis Black that I love, being my age, is that he didn't even hit until later on. He's like Rodney Dangerfield. Those are the two guys that hold out hope for me that, they didn't really hit their prime until they were well into their 50s and 60s.
Absolutely.
And so there's hope for us.
And he's so good to me, just remembering me and calling me and, getting me gigs and stuff like that. And you're just like, oh, my God. And, he's funny because he yells at me while he's doing it. He got me a gig on the South Shore Music Tent, And he calls me on the cell phone. And he's like, hey, quit whatever crap hole you're working. You're going to be with me at the South Shore Music Tent. And I go, Louis? He goes, oh, I'm sorry. Are you getting 1 million calls for the South Shore Music Tent? Maybe you want to put me on hold because South Shore Music Tent's 3,000 people. Oh yeah, I'm fielding those offers. There's 1 million people calling me for that gig. You're right, absolutely.
Well, your listeners should know what a great dude he is.
He is. He's the best. I love him.
I worked with him at the Providence Comedy Connection about 20 years ago.
Right.
And I knew you're saying quit bragging, but I did. And he was so funny, but the audience was so stupid that they just weren't giving him what he deserved. And I'm in the back of the room losing my mind. I was laughing so hard with a couple other comics and some other people that were there.
Right.
But the vast majority of the audience, you know, they had been trained on, you know, dick jokes, pardon my language.
Right.
And so they just weren't getting him. And I'm like, damn, this guy is, where the hell has he been? I'd never worked with him, but then I saw him obviously a bunch of times after that when I moved to New York. And I was so happy when he finally got on the Daily Show and got his due. And everyone else was too.
Yeah.
Everybody in New York's like, wow, one of the good guys. It's like Ray Romano, you know, one of the good guys made it. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. And he is that guy that goes the extra mile to help all other comedians. I think George Carlin was like that as well, you know.
Yeah, the classic story was when Kevin Knox was sick, and Mike Clarke told him that, you know, this is right after Lewis had started really hitting it big. And Mike Clarke said, hey, you know, Knoxie's, you know, back in chemo and radiation or whatever. And as the last words are coming out of the sentence, he's reaching into his pocket for his checkbook, and he right there on the spot cuts a huge check. Yep. And you know, that speaks volumes of what he is.
Yeah,
and
he's
all
that's
about.
him. That's classic Lewis. Yeah, but we should talk about Tom Cotter. I'm sorry, we got. You know, actually, we started talking about Carlin, and Carlin, you had a little bit of an experience with George Carlin, right?
I did. Many comics did, but I definitely did. And the Cliff Note version is I sent out a audio cassette. That's how long ago this was, to my three idols at the time, Rodney Dangerfield, Johnny Carson, and George Carlin. And 6 months later, George Carlin responded. And to this day, he's the only one that responded. And I'm confident I will not be hearing from Carlin. I'm from Carson or Dangerfield. But he did respond. And thank God I wasn't home. And this is back when you had little audio cassettes in your answering machine. And so he left me a message that was just the nicest, wonderful message from my idol to an open mic guy who was, you know, I was horrible back then. I'm not that I'm good now, but I was really bad then.
Right.
And so for him to reach out to me and respond when he was so busy.
That's so amazing.
And, you know, top of his game. And it was the nicest message, and it was on my website for forever. And it's still a recording that I will hold and cherish for the rest of my life, and he was really cool. But Larry Hagedorn, had a very similar experience with him, and so many other comics did too. He was just such a great guy on and off stage. Wow.
So let's recap. 3 idols that you loved, all dead. TV show that put you on, off the air.
You think God's sending me a message?
No, everyone who talks to you.
I would go see your cardiologist
right
as soon as we hang up. Call your cardiologist. Something's not. I'm
going to take a shower. I'm going to take a shower. My wife's going to throw a toaster in there with me when we get off the air.
And you're going to lather up like my boys while you're in there.
Oh my God! One last time. One for the road. So,
you know, I got to tell you, when I think about shower humor, and we all talk about shower humor.
Sure.
Can I use adult language on your podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm quoting the now no longer with us, but once great Patrice O'Neill. My favorite joke of his was, he said, I jerk off in the shower so much that I'm afraid a baby's going to crawl out of the drain. I just thought that was, to this day, I think that's
I remember that joke. I remember that joke.
And it's another guy I missed.
Yeah, I know. Patrice Eustace, I used to live with Greg Carrie in Upper West Side, and he used to stay with us, and we had a 5th floor walk up, and you could hear him like stopping like floor 3. Damn! What the? Who the hell lives 5?
We had a 6th floor walk up, Carrie and I, and he came to visit us. He came over to watch. It was a Patriots game, I think, and Billy Burr was there, and just a lot of the transplanted Boston guys who were in New York. And halfway through the game, Patrice got up to go use our bathroom. Our bathroom, New York City apartment bathrooms are minuscule. And ours was particularly minuscule. And Patrice, God bless him, was a gigantic man.
Oh, yeah.
And so to this day, we don't know how he did it. But he went in there for a good half hour and got the job done. I don't know how the hell he did it.
Only certain parts of them actually got wet.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, you had the same thing with me because I'm 6'6", and I left one of my shoes in your apartment, and it
Two
displaced.
shoes. You left two of them.
It displaced your family, didn't it?
They did. We could have slept in them. They were gigantic shoes. You have enormous feet. And you
Size
know
14.
what they say? Big feet.
Big story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big personality. Yeah.
And now you've just come to, but you wouldn't stay with us when you came to do Red Eye. You came and you visited, but you refused to stay at our home, and we were a little hurt by that. We lifted.
Well, you have these children.
You
You have children running around with slingshots and arrows, and all hopped up on sugar.
And you are a big target.
Oh yeah, I knew it was like Children of the Corn. It was only a moment before they decided that I was weak and they could turn on me. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of
even my kid with a lazy eye could have hit you with a slingshot.
Oh yeah, and they're always going to hit below the belt because that's kind of where they live.
That is where they live.
That's their area code.
Yeah, they are a lot of work, man. I don't know. You aren't a breeder yet, but you will be, and when you do, you'll get. Yeah, I don't have to tell you. You're gonna learn things on the job.
Me and Bernadette, my wife, are always laughing because we go, man. We always see Carrie. We go, oh, Carrie, man, what that poor girl. She married.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, like you're not a handful. You know what I mean?
I know.
And then there's 3 mini U's.
Yeah.
That's just straight up monkey stuff. That's like just hurling.
Yeah. Even our 2 cats are male, so there's so much testosterone in our house that even Carrie wakes up with a boner every now and again. It's bad.
But she got her revenge because she wrote a book strictly slinging mud at you, pretty much, right?
Well, her whole act. When we just worked together, we were down at in Naples at the Off the Hook Comedy Club, and there were only 2 acts. There isn't a host, so she goes up and does 45 minutes of my husband is a moron. In different
in your next act.
Yeah. And then I got to go up and dig out of that hole for the first 10 minutes is just rebuttal. That's all it is. And then I can get into my act. But that's where she is. And you write what you know, and she happens to know that I'm a moron. So.
Oh man, you're one of the best guys. I want to learn from Tom Cotter, the art of charm. I don't have it.
Carrie knows that is a misnomer.
I don't know. I want to ask you, how'd you get on America's Got Talent?
I got a call from the Friars Club. One of the guys, one of the bigwigs at the club, is the agent that handles Howard Stern. And Howard Stern had just been announced as the new judge. He replaced Pierce Morgan. So the guy's name is Don Buchwald. He owns the Don Buchwald Agency. And Don took they were in New York. It was the last city they were in. They had gone to all these other cities, and they were gonna do the last auditions in New York, and then they were gonna start the show in New Jersey across the river at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. So they come to lunch at the Friars Club, which is renowned as this comedians kind of playground fraternity, and they're eating lunch, and the producers say, we like all the jugglers, we like the magicians, we like the singers, we like the kid acts, we like all the novelty acts, but we're really unhappy with the crop of comedians that we've come out with. And the manager is sitting there with them, the manager of the club, Michael Jury. He hears that, and he goes to the phone, and he calls a bunch of friars, and he says, look, there's the last city they're auditioning people in. We got to go down. Because I know for a fact they're not happy with the comedians they have. So the Stone Brothers went down, I went down, Stephen Scott went down, a bunch of us went down that day. And I said to them, look, I'm in my late 40s at the time, and I said, I don't want to go stand in line for 6 hours to go, audition next to a guy who's been telling jokes for 5 minutes. And they said, no, we'll expedite it, and they did. And so I had my audition that day and my callback an hour later, same day. And so from then on, it was just kind of a whirlwind event. And I credit the Friars Club for giving me that call because I wasn't going to audition that year. Every year, everyone said, Cotter, you got to go for this. It's a minute and a half. Your act is perfect for this because it's a lot of one-liners. And every year I said, I'm not going to go and get humiliated by Pierce Morgan and whatever other judge there hates comedy. So
Right.
I had a bad taste in my mouth from
Of course.
other experiences. So now that Howard Stern's on there, I figure I got Howard, I got Howie Mandel, and Sharon Osbourne is the wife of the Prince of Darkness. She'll go along for the ride with comedy. And I said, if I'm not getting any younger, might as well do it now. And it's just the perfect storm of everything, and it was great and a great run. And I stepped in leprechaun shit that day and that whole season. So.
Well, if anyone
Very
could
lucky.
do it, I mean, you've won not only the Boston Comedy Festival contest, but also Seattle Comedy Contest. I'm probably forgetting a couple. And your act is just amazing for comedy. You do one liner, but you do like 3 tags at the end. I mean, it's really a powerful act for contests, especially. You know, it's like you're getting 3 times the laughs everybody else is.
It's great for short spurts when you have the minute and a half, 2 minutes. But when you have to sit through 45 minutes or an hour of my act, you want to stab yourself.
Well, it's too much. It wears them out. It's so much. You laugh them out. Literally, they're laughing so much their stomach hurts.
Well, you know what? I think that style is a very Boston style. Wendy Liebman is out of Boston. Gavin is the king of it. Gavin is the guy who created it, the guy that so many of us emulate. But even Brian Kiley does a lot of misdirection, and he's a genius at it. He's way up the food chain. And it's definitely a style that came out of Boston. If you go all the way back to Norm Crosby is out of Boston, and he does a lot of that kind of misdirection, pun, double entendre, innuendo stuff. And I love the style. It's a lot of fun. It's like a puzzle to write. And Wendy Liebman was on 2 seasons after me, and I was sure she was going to win the whole thing because she's perfect at it. But for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. But yeah, I love that style. But it is monotonous. I love all those people I just mentioned, but I probably can't stomach it for an hour because then you start looking where it's coming from.
I looked at I think Kevin Doughty Jr. did that show, and I was doing something with him. And I looked online, and they had a YouTube thing, and the thing after him was like a 6-year-old doing stand-up comedy on that show, and I was like, I'd be petrified to go on that show, because as you know, the whole theater is an instrument. This guy is he's gonna eat gerbils and pass hamsters, yeah. Or what?
By the way, I would pay to see that.
In a 2-minute set, absolutely. That is a talent.
That would get my entertainment dollar. Yeah. So when you're up against that, it's brutal. And the guy you mentioned is the guy Earth Harp, who the whole instrument, the theater was his whole instrument. He strung strings across the thing. And every single episode, Jim, he cranked it up. The first episode, it was just him. Second episode, it was him and a band. Third episode, him and a choir and a band. Fourth episode, he had dancers. And by the end of the thing, he had some woman flying on a wire above the Earth Harp. He had a choir, dancers, drums, singing. And every episode, Howie Mandel said, next week or next round, you got to amp it up. You got to step it up. Well, what does a comedian do? What
Pyrotechnics.
Can we do?
Yeah, how do you amp it up?
Yeah, what do you do? So
you did I thought what was cool is you did the wheel of material. I mean, I don't know where that came from, but I was like, that was, hey, you know what I mean? What are you gonna do? I mean, like, you had to. Yeah.
At a certain point, what can a comedian do other than this past season? You had a guy who used to be a guy and is now a woman. That's pretty big. I mean, but I wasn't going to do that. So yeah, you really, it's those shows when you're up against little kids, and I lost to a dog act, as you know, when you're up against that kind of stuff, and America's voting. I don't know if you noticed this last year, but apparently America occasionally gets voting a little wrong.
Yeah.
So that's what the reality shows you're up against. But you're not doing it for all that. You're doing it to be seen, and that show has a lot of eyeballs on it.
Right. Well, I mean, there's 200 million people that love dogs already dialed in.
And Sharon Osbourne's up there having an orgasm over these dogs. How do you going to compete with that?
Right. And then you're like, and who's this other guy? Even though you're killing it. I mean, like, I don't know any other comedian that I would put on that show. I mean, if I was going to pick somebody, I'd go, I don't know who else. I can't imagine going on that show and having to deal with that. I mean, are you having a heart attack? Or are you just going, I'm relaxed because it's so ridiculous, I can't even worry about it. You know?
The former. I was definitely having a heart attack. I was 15 pounds lighter. I was in my late 40s, and I had acne and diarrhea, and it was just nerve-wracking. That was a nerve-wracking summer, that whole experience. But it was still the greatest thing I've ever done. definitely career-wise and maybe life-wise, it was really a great experience. And I tell people all the time, Al Ducharme, as you know, one of my best friends in the world, let
Just
alone
work with Al.
comedy.
I just work with Al.
He just did the show. And Corey Kahaney, another dear friend of mine, just did it the same season, last season. And, again, the reality's never reality. It's all BS. And you mentioned before little kids. They moved little kids on, and they kept two of the best, headlining comics who've been at it for 30 years. They didn't move them on, but they moved on a kid who'd been telling jokes for, 6 months, who's cute.
Right.
So, it's an abomination in some ways, but it was an abomination that would serve me well.
Do you think that show now, I mean, how much of that is like the backstory? Like you got to have someone who's ill, or you got to be a survivor, or, Or last year you had to be the transvestite, which is great. He was kind of a funny comic, or she. Sorry, I'm screwing this up. Was it? Was it Jay, that girl Jay from upstate New York? I don't watch the show a lot.
From New Jersey, and I can't remember the name. But, he was a pretty good comic as a guy and did better as a woman and, had a decent run. I think he made it to the quarterfinals, but he got a lot of press out of it and everything.
Right.
And that's what stood out of the comics that year. So you never know. And then the year before, it was a stuttering kid, a kid who stutters, and God bless him, a funny kid, but he has a speech thing, and he overcame it by doing comedy, or he deals with it by doing comedy. But if you think you can't stomach me for an hour, try watching a stuttering comic for an hour.
Right,
I mean, it's tough.
Where you and me are just trying to overcome homelessness. We're just trying to keep a roof over our head. Like no one cares about that.
That's all I want. That's all I care about.
We're just trying to survive, but that's not really interesting. So.
Yeah, don't repossess my home. That's all I ask.
Can I keep the car? Where would the kids go if they're in foster home, and could I still visit them?
Yeah, I have relatives that would take them. They wouldn't be happy, but they would take them.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
You got to fall back. All right.
Well, can I plug that I'm at Laugh Boston the end of April, the last weekend of April. If
absolutely.
This airs before
yep, that's down the seacoast. I don't know when this goes up, so it's better to just put up. Tell us your social media stuff.
Yeah, it's at Tom Cotter Comic, and I'm at tomcotter.com, and I'm all over Facebook and, Instagram and everything. Not Snapchat. Haven't mastered that yet, but the rest of them.
Okay. Tom Cotter, awesome comedian. I consider him a friend, and I'm proud to say so. And
back at you.
And you should see him. You should look him up online. He's very funny. He's being overly humble because he's very, very, very funny, and it's worth a look.
Right, Mutual Admiration Society. Right back at you. When are you going overseas again?
I don't know. I think there might be work. You mean for the military?
Yeah, because I just saw D'Elia's over there now, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually going to call him. He's Rick D'Elia, a friend of both of ours, was just in Kuwait, and we were comparing some notes through social media. But I don't know. It looks like things are going to start. They had all the military cuts, and obviously I don't want them taking money to pay for comedians when they need to pay for equipment. But to fly us over there, they need to fly over equipment and food and,
I think our old equipment is just as good as anybody else's new stuff, and they need a couple laps. So I beg to differ with you on that one.
Yeah, I want them to send robots over there, and although they're hard to tell jokes to, But
they just said that drones just won a big victory over there in Libya. They didn't put any boots on the ground, and these drones took out a bunch of people. So it is robotics going into the future, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you can hear this at the McHugh Report or on WMEX in Boston. And I'm Jim McHugh, at Jim McHugh or jimmchugh.com. Tom, thank you so much for giving me a bit of your time. All right. Thanks. I'm gonna hang up. You have 40 seconds to say something awkward, and then say I'm Tom Cotter. I love to listen to Boston Comedy Festival radio.
Hey, everybody, I'm Tom Cotter, and I love to listen to Boston Comedy Festival radio because I have impeccable taste in comedy.
True, and I thank you because I know you've never listened to it because you're in New York. We'll have to send it to you.
Send it to me.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
All right, buddy. Hi to Bernadette. See ya.
Okay.